everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Deep Thoughts. And today we are talking about Fruits Basket, episode 12, You Look Like You're Having Fun. And that episode title seemed fun at first, and then the episode happened, and I am still seething with rage. But we're just going to go ahead and jump into this episode, shall we? So the episode begins, and the gang are all second years now, which means that the other two characters, Hatsuharu and Momiji, almost said Momoji again, Momiji and Hatsuharu are boys, are now part of the school squad, which is nice. Any more inclusion of the Somas into this poor school is probably going to have the whole place explode. So maybe it might be good to just leave the Soma inclusion at 5. Or how many? Not 5. How many are in there now? There's Kyo. There's 4. But I mean, like, I kind of include Honda and like the Soma crew now, which I mean says something about the familial bond that is being formed. Whether or not blood needs to be involved in it is pretty much unnecessary at this point. That group is a family, and that is going to come into play later. But let's one thing at a time. I will say the episode starts on kind of a sort of a funny note, because we get like this CG car at one point, which is housing the worst possible thing it could be housing. But yeah, we get this CG car that I literally went oof out loud, because it is rough looking, man. The way this thing moves, it like jitters around. Like the show is 9 times out of 10 shockingly pretty, but anytime there's CG, it's so noticeably out of place. like when people transform in the show, the CG like dust looks like something you can get at like if you ripped it off YouTube or something. Like it just doesn't look quite as good as the rest of the show does. And the CG once again rears its ugly head with the car, because it looked rough, man. That thing looked way out of place. It may not look out of place in this like single frame that I'm showing you, but when you see this thing moving, it only lasts like 2 seconds. It's not even a big deal. But I was like, oh, please don't let this be a sign of the rest of the episode, because that thing does not look great. And luckily, it wasn't. The rest of the episode does bring out some emotions, but it's supposed to, so it does the job. And I will say too, Jealous Kyo is probably my favorite Kyo. I mean, like we know that the whole student body is going insane over the Somas, but as I said earlier, I kind of include Toru in the Soma crew in my mind. Like at this point, the family unit is Kyo, Toru, Yuki, Shigure, even though Shigure is up to some shenanigans, and the newly included Momiji and Hatsuharu. And anyway, getting back on topic to Jealous Kyo. Jealous Kyo might be my favorite thing ever, because of course the student body's going crazy over the Soma family, like I said, and in my mind, that includes Toru. And there's some dudes who are like kind of interested in maybe like chit-chatting with Toru. And then Kyo does the friggin' like arm on the wall thing and then glares at the two dudes. And I'm like, oh man, Jealous Kyo might be my new favorite Kyo. Also, we get to meet the president, whose name is escaping me now. I literally just referred to him as Student Council Prez in my notes. And that voice. Now that voice sounds familiar. I wonder who it could... Kazuma desu. I knew it! Yeah, that's right, it's friggin' Jun Fukushima. That was a surprise, playing a character who's basically somehow a more douchey version of Kazuma. Now, I don't know how you turn my trash king into a more douchey character, but Student Council Prez, he's on his way. I feel like Student Council Prez is what would happen if Kazuma, and if you don't know who I'm talking about Kazuma from Konosuba, but if I don't know how you wouldn't know that, but you know, just in case. I feel like this is what would happen if Kazuma actually had, instead of if Kazuma wasn't an otaku, if he had like a drive for anything other than otaku culture, then my boy would have ended up Student Council Prez in Fruits Basket. That's my headcanon. This is just an alternate Kazuma. Because he just playing Kazuma in this episode, and that's not a bad thing. I freaking loved that. By the way, it takes Haru Black showing up to, or is it Haru Black or Black Haru? I don't know which comes first. Either way, Dark Haru, whatever you want to call him, shows up. And that may have led to the most meta moment in the entire show. And why do I say that? Well, if you look at the scene, Haru is basically using the power of pretty anime dudes in hypothetical situations to win the day. Now, tell me that's not a metaphor for the entire show. I mean, when you think about it, Fruits Basket may as well be winning this entire season with the power of pretty anime dudes in hypothetical situations. How does Haru get out of the situation with the student council pres? Pretty dudes in hypothetical situations. Also, the prove it moment, followed by Haru saying, we don't need to hug to do it. Jesus, Haru Black, you gotta chill, man. Haru Black, Haru in general. I love this dude. I will protect this boy. I'm stalling. I don't know if you guys can tell that or not, because I'm kind of... Okay, so I don't know how many of you who watch my Fruits Basket videos also watch my JoJo's videos. Now, if you do, then you'll know that something pretty intense happened in the last episode of JoJo's, and I had some feelings about it. And in that video, I said, I just want to go watch Fruits Basket because I just wanted the healing power that is Fruits Basket. And I definitely I'm definitely feeling less sad than I was at the end of that JoJo's episode. However, it was replaced with unyielding rage. I haven't felt such anger, such fury towards a character like this since maybe Banana Fish. I am furious right now. I knew that there would be trouble after skipping New Year's. I told y'all, if you watch that video, if you watch that Deep Thoughts, I knew there would be trouble after skipping New Year's. I didn't know when it was coming. I just knew it was coming. And Akito, Akito. I am trying to choose my words very carefully because, as we know, YouTube does not like swearing. So I try to keep my language to, an acceptable, family-friendly level. So I'm just gonna say, Akito can go frunk himself. Okay, I'm gonna be kind of jumping around in this instead of going linear. I'm gonna talk about what we see when Akito touches Yuki's face. Akito touches Akito's face. When Akito touches Yuki's face, and Yuki's eyes go all crazy, and the dude starts shaking and doesn't stop shaking even after Akito leaves. And just that look, the look on Yuki's face, and what we later find out to be like a flashback, but we see like scenes of like something happening between Yuki and Akito, and we later find out that he locked Yuki in a room and quote unquote tortured him. Akito is a sick person, and it's an unbelievable testament to the mangaka's like power and skill that they use this character who is like, when you think about it, in the show so far we haven't really seen Akito all that much. We've seen him, but we haven't like seen him used all the time. But when he's used, it's so effective, and I'm shocked at how much I resent a character who I barely see. Like, that's some skill, man. I do feel like the show so far has been going out of its way to make you not like this character on purpose. Like, the audience is supposed to loathe Akito because he's the worst. And it puts me in a position where I'm expecting at some point things to come to a head, and it is gonna come down to the Soma family choosing between Toru and Akito in some way. Like, that is where the factions are, like, lines are being drawn in the sand, and it's gonna come down at some point, not to like a war straight up, but like a war of words between these two separate factions. And I feel like that's Shigure's plan. I don't necessarily know in like what he wants to come out of that, but he's definitely setting it. It's Shigure's, everyone else is playing checkers, Shigure's playing chess. And just like the line, like, she's ugly, you can't see it, but I'm like clenching my fists, like just thinking about that scene in the car. Like that friggin' smug look of satisfaction on Yuki's face. If I may pull a Game of Thrones quote, Akito, a day will come when you will think you are safe and happy, and your joy will turn to ashes in your mouth. And Toru is gonna be the one who turns said joy into ash, because my girl, when she shoved him, I was like, yes, Toru! Toru's a damn saint. And I can't. By the way, That glare. There's a moment in the episode where we get this scene between Akito and Kyo, and it's like from a distance. They're not in speaking distance. They're far apart. But Kyo gives Akito this glare that I have not, like, that's anger, the likes of which I haven't seen from Kyo in a while. I don't think I've ever seen him that angry. I can't, like, nothing's jumping. I've seen Kyo angry a lot, but I haven't seen him, like, that heated. Like, I was genuinely, like, kind of put on my heels. Like, that was pretty intense. But on the bright side, we do end the episode in sort of a fun, happy way. We end with a badminton scene, Hanebado eat your heart out, and it ends with Yuki basically admitting that he just wanted, like, a genuine family. And I think he has found that, which does make me happy. And I hope Yuki will be able to confront Akito, thanks to Toru's, like, influence on his life. I think that's coming at some point. I don't know when. I think that's gonna happen. I'm still really mad. I don't know if you can tell, but, like, every time I think of Akito, I get heated. Overall, this episode gets a strong A. I was really impressed with this episode. I wanted to give it an A+, because of the sheer amount of emotions it managed to pull out of me, like anger, sympathy, like genuine heartbreak, and then heartwarming. But man, that CG car really ruined it. With that said, everybody, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, then by all means, hitting that like button, sharing the video around on the internet, well, that would be super rad of you. And if you'd like to stick around and check out more from me, then by all means, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and ring that bell to join the good ones. And before we go, as always, I have to give a big shout out to the good folks over on Patreon, namely those in the Earl Grey tier: Dominic, Urza, No For Nothing, Maria Teresa, Omner Garamond, Opinionated Slime, Shadow Creative, Sipco Games, Tristan, and Veridin. Thank you all so much for your continued support. I'm gonna go try to calm down, and until our next meeting, you stay rad and don't scary.